being hard pressed all the time by Edward Perrin on the Tony Kart. So Tony Kart leads from Tony Kart at the moment, and 69 in third place. Bradley Ellis with the zip from Croydon, and 6 already, putting a blanket over those front 4. Nicky Mitchell, the West Wickham driver, but it's still Plowman leading from the front. And the first 5 or 6 breaking a little bit from the next run-up order. And amongst that next run-up order is our camera cart, that's Ben Robinson. And I'm just looking at his times, 45.21, and that will mean, as we are seeing there, he's going quicker than some of the guys in front of him. But one man who's going quick, but also having to keep an eye all the time, almost in the back of his head, at the gaggle of the pack just behind him is the little man in the lead, Martin Plowman. Plowman's keeping that lead. He's driving absolutely beautifully at the moment, but all the time haunting him is Edward Perrin. Still Tony Kart from Tony Kart. And look at little Martin Plowman, he's crouching down there. He's got a lot of attention on him by Edward Perrin in the other Tony Kart. And also Perrin's got attention on him too from Bradley Ellis with the zip, the young Croydon driver there, Ellis, just tucking in, happy to be there for the moment. Who knows whether this leading bunch will be battling it throughout the race. Anything can happen here. And watching in that special watching brief, Nicky Mitchell, a very determined customer with the sprint. And now we're on board with Wesley Graves, the GP plate. And Wesley Graves closing in as I speak at the moment on number 6, Nicky Mitchell. Can he get into the fray as well? But look at Plowman. Look at the question being asked him by Edward Perrin. 69 still there, Bradley Ellis. And 8 up there too now. That's interesting. Adam King's come up from the 7th row of the grid. Some determined customers in this first cadet final. None more determined than the man at the front, Martin Plowman, going towards the left and right hander, the first of the 2 S's here, and they still keep formation, looking a bit further back to see if anybody else is coming particularly through the field, and one man certainly was doing, Chris Gonal. And Gonal, one of 2 Gonals in racing, the younger of the 2, and he's making his way through the field, but not yet for the moment is he up with the leading bunch, and this is it. Plowman, and still line astern, Edward Perrin, Bradley Ellis is up there as well, Nicky Mitchell is up there, and once again we can see those 4 as they go towards the first corner, and Graves is having a problem. There's 2 gone through, and one of those going through was Adam King on the right cart, and Adam King, a very determined customer indeed. Still Martin Plowman, still just behind him, touching him like a postage stamp, Edward Perrin, and keeping that watching brief just behind them, Bradley Ellis. And always just behind Bradley Ellis for the moment, Liam Walters, and all 4 of these, at least at this present time in the race, being fairly content to stay there, nobody making any real challenges. Perhaps they're hoping to get away from the rest of the field and battle it out in the last couple of laps, but I've got a message for them. The rest of the field is getting closer to them. Still, Martin Plowman, 10 years old, brilliant little rider. Coming round into the complex again, we go down into that start and finish straight. This is where they can slipstream, but will they? And I can tell you now that the battle for the lead has hotted up, and look at Ben Robinson all over the back of that car just in front of him, and that's questions being asked of Liam Walter. Well, he can't close him down, so Robinson with a camera on his cart goes through, but still at the front is exactly the same. The determined Plowman, no lesser determined in second place, Edward Perrin. Still Tony Kart from Tony Kart, the Tony Kart 1-2, and trying to get amongst those Tony Karts and maybe become the meat in the sandwich is Bradley Ellis with the zip in third place. Robinson again, a camera's eye view, there's the GP plate who moves to the side. He's had problems earlier. And from being on board with Ben Robinson, we're now aboard with Wesley Graves. 10 is Liam Walters with the zip, and we now see 31 coming really into the picture. Craig Dolby was on the 3rd row of the grid, the man who was on the front row, as I just saw the briefest of glimpses then coming into that leading bunch of the man that they call Chris Gonal. Chris Gonal, a youngster, but a very determined youngster. And as Robinson has our picture on that leading bunch, I can tell you Gonal is now amongst them, but still the man with the lead, Martin Plowman, and the man just pushing after him, Edward Perrin, still the 2 Tony Karts together. And they look like they may be making a little break, but no, that 3rd place man now is Chris Gonal. And while these 2 keep line astern from each other, they may not be aware yet that the man has worked up from the 5th row of the grid, and Chris Gonal is coming a-hunting. Plowman, and there's Gonal, 55, still up there with the bunch. Nicky Mitchell is 6, 94 and 35 are in there as well, and 35 of course Ben Robinson, using our camera cart to good effect there, because he's coming up through the field. He's just inside the top 10 and trying to make places up as I speak. He's got just in front of him Liam Walters. There goes our leader again, Martin Plowman. Plowman maybe is just starting to ease away from the fighting pack behind. But there has been a change in second place, and that means that Chris Cornell has got through. Now, if Cornell is going quicker than the rest, and by looking at my watch, I think he was a little earlier when he had time to make up and when he had a little bit of space to go. If he's got more speed than Martin Plowman, we're going to see Plowman under a challenge very, very shortly indeed. So Cornell looking his way through, but this man too, our cameraman, Ben Robinson, looking his way through, but Martin Plowman looking his way ahead. Plowman, but Cornell is getting closer to him, but not giving up at all is Bradley Ellis with the zip. And you can see how close Ben Robinson is to making up another place. By my calculation, he's now up to 8. There's a problem, there's a big problem, and I think that means that Martin Plowman has gone off, and that will see a new leader. Certainly they came together, not sure what happened there, but I would say now that we've got a new leader, and that new leader is Chris Cornell. Yes, it is, and look at the gap he's opened. So poor old Martin Plowman, it looks as if he's out of this race after leading it so well for so long. And now it's Cornell, and behind Cornell, it's the sprint of Nicky Mitchell, the West Wickham rider. And look at Mitchell, after one lap he's pulled right back up, and now he's asking the question of Chris Cornell. Cornell, though, has opened that gap again, and the reason I can tell you is because while they're scrapping behind, they're holding each other up. And that allows Chris Cornell to get away a little bit. The yellow flag's waving, so no overtaking from there. Oh, that's just a little kiss. And Ben Robinson with the camera car as the finger points out from the side. But this man be raising a fist in the air very shortly, Chris Cornell. But all the time, Nicky Mitchell saying, I'm coming, and begging the question of pressure. And Cornell, young man he may be, pressure he can take, or can he? Well, they're going on to the last lap now. We're on board with Ben Robinson again. He's currently in 6th place, looking for 5th, maybe 4th, but I can tell you out at the front, they've got 4 more corners to try and achieve a difference. But at the moment, it's still Chris Cornell having a look, but there's a yellow flag to prevent him doing more than having a look at the moment. There's the man in 2nd place, and that, of course, is Nicky Mitchell. Now, what's going to happen here? We've still got the yellow flags. There's Gornall. Mitchell's all over him like a rash as I speak at the moment. This is where they go into an S's. Then they're going to peel round again. Mitchell with the watching brief. Cornell trying to make himself very wide indeed. They've got 2 more corners, and then the corner going into the start and finish straight. It starts with this one. Sweep round wide. It's going to go tight again. See them coming onto the complex. If Mitchell's going to make a dive, it's going to be any second now, or he might try and pull out of the slipstream and do it on the straight. He's capable of doing that. Or maybe there's another kart that can do it as well. Look at Mitchell pulls alongside. Cornell gets it. Mitchell gets 2nd. King gets 3rd. Our camera kart, Ben Robinson, gets 4th place. Well done to him. Edward Perrin 5th, and Jonathan Miller in 6th place. If you want it any more exciting than that, I don't know where you'll get it. More to come.
And in fact, there is more to come, Tony. That result declared provisional because there has been a protest lodged against Chris Gornall after that incident with the early leader, Martin Plowman. So we leave the cadets as Nicky Mitchell and Adam King congratulate each other. Either could yet be the winner. We'll update you on that later in the programme. But coming up next is our support race this week.